TV and tonight, and we'll let you know. And then we go, oh, okay, that seems legit. Which reminds me, I want to track my ballot because I tried to track my ballot the day after I voted, and it didn't have any record of it.
I wasn't sure if I was going to talk about it, but I definitely... No, okay, I'll do my meta-analysis on like race and the election next time. Let's just move forward and talk about libertarians for exactly one topic. Nick Sarwark had this really dumb tweet.
1 second. So I just tracked my ballot. Mm-hmm. So I went online, and I could type it in. It would tell me what happened to my ballot. And it says, ballot tracking status not found.
Damn, that's crazy.
Your ballot status will be displayed after your local election official received and processed your...
It's November 17th right now.
Yeah, so as far as I'm concerned, my ballot went right in the fucking garbage because I just checked it and they said we haven't counted it yet. So,
yep.
What's the point of this?
Yep.
That's one less for Kanye that he didn't get because he was stolen from him.
So, libertarian news. Nick Sarwark made this really dumbass tweet. I'm not going to find it. It came to me in a dream. I remember it from like a week ago, where he was basically saying, like, I hope the Democrats know that, he basically bragged about spoiling the election and hoped that the Democrats would like take the time to work with the libertarians to help accomplish the things that they agree with, which fundamentally misses the point of being a third party. I think I've been getting flack for this for I guess maybe I was going to say the quiet part out loud again, but I think people don't understand the point of a third party is to spoil elections for the party you agree with in the hopes that they will then acquiesce to your demands next time, right? Yeah. The point of the Libertarian Party is that when the Republicans fuck over Ron Paul, they lose the election and then think, how did this happen? And then they see all those, they see the 100,000 libertarian votes, and they're like, "Oh, whoopsies! Probably shouldn't have fucked over Ron." Right?
Yep.
And in the same way that the reason the DNC keeps fucking over Bernie Sanders is because whenever Bernie loses the nomination, he clasps his hands over his crotch, looks down, shuffles, and says, "I'm sorry. I want all my supporters to vote for Hillary." Right? And just stands in the corner and watches them do it.
Even after they proved that they stole it in 2016.
Yeah. Right. The way that you punish the DNC for that shit is Bernie says, okay, and then he starts a third party, and then for the DNC to see how badly they fucked up, that they see how many votes did Bernie's party get. That's the point, right? You have a coordinated list of demands. Because when a party loses, it wants to pull votes, and it will try to pull votes from the votes that were already out there, unless it has reason to believe that there are people who just stayed home. So if the Republicans lose the election and they see that the only other party that got votes was the Democrats, they will try to peel off Democratic voters by moving to the left. Or if they see that a bunch of votes went to Libertarians, they will try to peel off Libertarian votes by moving in a Libertarian election. So it makes no sense at all to be the third party, cause the party you like to lose the election, and look at the party that won and ask that party to move in your direction. But they won without you. That's the whole point. But now I have like Republican friends who are like, that's irresponsible. Like, that's just like strapping on a suicide vest and making demands. It's like, yeah, people who do that tend to get what they want, actually. Right? Libertarians never get what we want.
They certainly get their demands met more often than a guy in the same position. But
yeah. Like, if I have to choose between having a vest and not having a vest when I start asking you for things, having the vest is great. Especially if, like, I can detonate the vest multiple times and I don't, like, die each time. So, like, when libertarians lose, like, that's why we say, we're fiscally conservative, socially liberal. We're making demands of Republicans, and then when we lose and Democrats win, we just get, gay marriage, abortions, and weed, right? And we're like, we sure would love to have, like, laxer gun control laws and, lower taxes. And we'd love to see all this regulation rolled back. And Republicans are like, nah, best I can do is wars for Israel. And so libertarians say, all right, then. And then Republicans lose. And, libertarians are licking their ice cream cone that's called weed and gay marriage and abortion. And they're like, looking down at the Republicans is like, so like I said, cut regulations and we want to withdraw from the Middle East. And Republicans are like, no! And then, you flash forward again, Republicans are again sitting outside of power, and libertarians walk by, and again, like, you guys voted Democrat. He's like, we didn't even vote Democrat. Like, this has a second ice cream cone that's also called like, here's a scoop of gay marriage, a scoop of abortion, and a scoop of weed. And they're like, why are you getting these ice cream cones? Like, oh, we don't even like those. Like, you're closer to us than them, but you never give us what we want, and we're willing to suffer through it because every time you lose, you find yourself out in the street and your donations dry up and all these things. Every time we lose, which happens all the time, we just get ice cream. Watch. And then, it flashes forward and the Republicans have won. And then and the Libertarians got like another ice cream cone called like no gun control this year. And it's like, see, it doesn't matter, right? So if you want our vote, give us what we want.
Yeah, and the other thing with that is so it might be more the case that one side agrees with you than the other side. But in this case, one of those sides is quite good at getting things at once, and the other side is not. So in this case, if the Democrats agree with you on whatever, gay marriage or whatever the thing is, even if they only agree with you on 2 out of your 50 things, at least they'll probably get those 2 things, because if they actually agree with them, they're going to get the shit they want. Whereas the Republicans might say they agree with you on 48 of those things, but they're not going to get you any of that shit. They're going to go, oh, man. Because I remember this when Ron Paul ran, and he used to say, I want to cut income taxes to 0. Republicans would go, oh, my God, wouldn't that be cool? And then you go, yeah, it would be. Why don't we do it? And they go, I know we can't, but wow, it'd be crazy, though, right? And it's like, well, you just said you agree with it. And they're like, we can't do it. Come on.
Yeah.
And those are just voters, so the actual people in charge are going to be even worse.
Yeah. Proof of this is the fact that, how great Libertarians did in 2016, relatively. I mean, we did terribly, but we got more votes than ever, which shows that 80% of prospective Libertarian voters vote Republican most of the time. All they really want is like, hey, listen, don't put the reincarnation of Huey Long up on the ballot. Like, if you put a Republican who's like, yeah, I'm for tariffs and fire and fury, then we won't vote for him. Right?
Yeah.
And then so you went from Libertarians getting 200,000 to 1 million votes.
And back down to what now? They lost 60?
Who knows? Yeah. So it's like, oh, you lost. Yeah, give us what we want next time. You put up a really bad candidate, and it's like, so we're saying you only join our coalition if you get what you want. Like, yeah, right. It's like, but if you do that, then the Democrats will fill us with Mexicans, and then we'll never win elections again. It's like, and we'll just keep getting this ice cream cone called gay marriage, marijuana, and abortion, right? Like, give us what we want. Like, it's not our fault that you're facing down, demographic death clock. That's your fault. You've had power a few elections without our support, mind you. We don't even support, immigration restrictions. That's still you. So the fact that you've put yourself in a situation where, you have all these supporters who want you to close the borders and stop immigration and stuff, and you never do it for them. And now you're facing the consequences, and it's somehow our fault for not voting for you. That's strange. Doesn't make any sense. Fuck off. Give us what we want, right? You already don't give your supporters anything they want, and they vote for you anyway. If we're going to vote for you, we want our demands met, right? Evangelicals will vote for you, even though you don't give them a rollback on gay marriage. You don't give them an end to abortion. All you give them is wars for Israel, and they're willing to settle for that. But we want a little more. Actually, we want you to end the thing that you're we would actually have the best of both worlds if you gave us an end to these wars, and you just gave the evangelicals stronger court protections of Christian bakers who don't want to serve cakes at gay weddings. Then we both get what we want. And then Republicans yeah, but we care more about evangelical votes and libertarian votes. Like, all right, good luck with that. Have fun. Right? I'm going to go get another scoop of gay marriage ice cream then. See ya.
Lucky they didn't spoil anything for anybody this time. Looking at the election results, so if we're going to believe the official story is that Trump went from basically 63 million votes to 73 million votes from 2016 to 2020. The Democrats went from 66 million votes, just under that, to 79 million votes.
Mm-hmm.
We believe that. And the Libertarians went from 4.5 million votes down to less than 2 million votes, 1.8. So everybody did better except for Libertarians.
Yeah.
We did worse.
Right.
And you know what this will be? in the LP, they're just going to say, oh, well, because she was more libertarian than Gary Johnson. Gary Johnson went to the middle, and he was all for gun control.
Joe Jorgensen didn't say that Black Lives Matter enough.
Yeah, she was too libertarian. That was her problem. Even though
too libertarian, not...
What was one of her positions? Do you know any of her positions from 2020?
She wanted to reform the CIA.
Did she?
That's the one thing. Everybody I know who knows of George Jorgensen, that's like the one thing they remember about her was that stupid ass thing she said during one of the LP debates was like she wants to think the CIA should be reformed.
Oh, well, there you go. Yeah, I don't remember any of her points. She didn't say. So, like, she ran with Harry Brown. She was Harry Brown's VP for at least one of his runs. And Harry Brown seemed to understand something that, like, Trump understood, that Ron Paul understood, which is you can't just say, like, I'm this party and I'm all these 50 positions. You have to pick, like, 1 to 4 that you kind of just hammer away on, and then you just try to get people who care about those 1, 2, 3, or 4 things. And that's how you get people. So, like, for Harry Brown, his big thing was, we're going to eliminate the income tax, and I'm going to run on that. I'm going to run on you're not going to have to pay taxes anymore. Now, did that work? Obviously, it didn't work, but he did pretty well because he said, I'm just going to, I don't, you can't, it's a lot to ask someone to buy into your whole fucking weirdo ideology that they've never heard of. Yeah. So instead you say, here's a couple things. So like Ron Paul did not go around telling people you should be a minarchist or some weird thing that they would have said. I don't know what that means. He said, I'm against war. I'm against the Fed. Oh, and I want to cut spending. Like, I want to cut spending.
Yeah.
We spend too much money. I'm against the wars. I'm against the Federal Reserve. Now, you can. There are people who could agree with all 3 of those, or 2 out of 3 of them, or 1, and not be libertarians at all, but they care about that one thing enough that they go, okay, I'm going to vote for this guy. Just like Trump said, he's going to build a wall. He's going to have trade deals or whatever. And then there was probably a third thing, but I always seem to forget the third thing.
Yeah, what a third party wants to do is to have a position as radical as possible while maximizing the number of votes you peel off the major party so they lose.
Yeah.
Because obviously if the Libertarian Party crusaded on, like, putting an end to, like, let's just say they ran on, like, pure Rothbardian, like a thriving free market in babies, recreational nuclear weapons, and I don't know, something that like nobody believes, but something like executing children who stole candy bars. So that's like the 3 bits on the platform, right? And so they run on that, and then nobody jumps from the Republicans to that because nobody supports that, right? So the Republicans win. So it's a failure. Yeah. But instead, you're like, we're gonna eliminate the income tax and replace it with like tariffs, and it's just that, and then you peel off like 100,000 Republican votes on that moderate program.
Yep.
Then. Right, or you keep stacking on extreme things, and then Republicans lose. That's the best when Republicans lose, because the next time they say we got to get all those votes back. Do all of these voters we don't have? Is there a concrete list of demands? Yes, there's a concrete, actionable list of demands.
1 or 2 things that you can do to get us, and then the other thing it does is then from the other perspective, because we've talked before, they have 1 role is electoral and 1 is spreading a message and a philosophy. The other thing it does is instead of coming to people and saying, I have this weirdo ideology for sale, you come to them with 1 thing that you can agree on. And you go, yeah, I'm my weirdo ideology, but I'm just here to talk to you about this 1 thing that we agree on. And then they go, oh, well, I agree with that. And you have a better chance of reaching that person on your other shit later.
Yeah.
Because now they already go, well, what else do you have to say? But they're not going to listen to you at first. They need to agree with you. You have to pace them before you can lead them. You have to meet them where they are before you're going to bring them someplace new. And they had this fucking thing they had an issue handed to them on a silver platter. All she had to do was say, hey, I'm the one person in the race that doesn't want to lock you in your house. And that's totally consistent with the party. It wouldn't have been some outside thing. And there's lots of people who voted for Donald Trump who, I'm sure, who if you could have convinced them that voting for Joe Jorgensen is a way to tell people in charge that I am against lockdowns and all this shit, all this crazy stuff, they would have. I would have. I didn't vote I voted for Kanye. But if that was like the thing where everyone knows, oh, has this crazy lady who's against lockdowns, I would have fucking voted. I would have put a sign in my yard to let other people know there are people who are against this crazy shit. And I know a lot of people who are not libertarians.